And we're back. Alright, type a 1 in the chat room when you guys can hear me. And, okay, alright. Okay, so, sorry I had to miss a couple of these. It's just been a annoying couple of weeks. You know, first I had the surgery, and then I had to take a number of days off because I wasn't feeling well enough to make videos or live stream or whatever. And that put me really behind schedule. I'm still trying to get back up to speed. So sorry I couldn't do a stream for the finale of WandaVision. I just didn't really feel able to do it at the time. And now I'm still trying to get caught up. I was up late last night working on the Snyder Cut review. Haven't had a chance to edit that yet. I'll be doing that tonight. So hopefully that'll be up tomorrow before I have to turn my attention to Batwoman. And I didn't have to have time to watch the episode for Falcon and Winter Soldier until like an hour ago. So it's just still trying to get back on schedule. And I'm not there yet. But yeah, the surgery is done with. I had a follow-up appointment yesterday, and apparently we won't really know if the surgery worked for up to 3 months. So I don't know if it did anything. I probably feel a little bit better than I did before I had it. So we'll see. So yeah, now I'm kind of a mess. I haven't shaved. My shirt has holes in it because it's laundry day, and I haven't had time to actually take my laundry over there yet. So yeah. Yeah, so surgery kind of put me behind in a number of ways. But enough of me complaining. So I guess I could talk about the WandaVision finale now. If you guys still want to hear my thoughts on that. But then we'll talk about Falcon Winter Soldier. The first episode dropped a couple days ago, I think on Thursday, Friday, something like that. So you guys know the drill by now. I'll go through the whole episode. I'll give my thoughts on it, and then we'll do comments and super chats afterward. WandaVision finale. I liked it, but I had a number of issues. The whole sword plot ended up feeling pretty superfluous. It seemed like it was there just to introduce Monica, get her powers, and set up a meeting with Fury at the end so she could play a bigger role in whatever she appears in next. And to get White Vision on the board, too. But aside from that, they weren't really involved in that much. Sword really didn't affect the plot that much, really. And in fact, their involvement felt weirdly tacked on. For most of the show, you thought Hayward just wanted his weapon back. He wanted Vision back, but then it's revealed that he still had Vision the whole time. Wanda never actually took Vision. She created this new version from nothing. So Hayward's motivation didn't really track. And also, fuck Hayward. Fuck that whole character. I wanted to think there was more to that character, but there really wasn't. He was just there to be an asshole. They were so desperate to demonize this guy that they had him try to shoot innocent kids for no reason at all. Are you kidding me? Yeah, when he pointed that gun at Wiccan and Speed, I was like, no, I'm done with this guy. No, fuck this. So the entire sword plot just ended up feeling really ham-fisted, unfortunately. I am glad we got White Vision out of it, though, so Vision can continue to be a thing now. That's nice. The final battle with Agatha was fun. I thought it was clever when Wanda put the runes up on the walls of the hex. Some people didn't like how Wanda came off at the end. Like, the writers were oscillating between trying to make us sympathize with her for having to give up her family in order to release everybody, and also showing her do some pretty cruel stuff, like mentally enslaving Agatha at the end. You could argue that Agatha had that coming. I mean, she was the villain, but still, it's not something a lot of other characters would do. And I thought that was kind of the point, though. I mean, Wanda gained some level of acceptance about all her personal losses but she's also starting to go to a darker place. So it felt to me like she was less of a person we're meant to feel sorry for and more of a tragic figure who's becoming a really morally gray. Also, I had to I had to laugh about the Pietro thing. I really did. All those fan theories, all that teasing the multiverse stuff, and it turns out it was all building up to a dick joke. But yeah, it was a giant cop-out, but at the same time, I have to respect them for next-level trolling like that, because they hooked everybody with that one. When they did the punchline with the Ralph Boner thing, I laughed. I couldn't help it. I never really expected Monica's engineer friend to be Reed Richards, but fake Pietro I thought was going to be something big. But no, it was just a red herring. And they sure fooled me with it. So kudos. And my notes are kind of a mess here. I was never clear on how fake Pietro got powers, though. Like, how did he still have super speed? He was working with Agatha, so she had a mental hold on him. But where did his powers come from? Did Agatha give him powers? I thought that was kind of a big deal that Wanda could do that. Seriously, how did that happen? I don't know. Also, the Darkhold could have used an explanation. Last I saw it, Ghost Rider was taking it to another dimension on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so people like Agatha couldn't get their hands on it. Now it's just here. One line of explanation would have been enough. Like, are there multiple copies of the Darkhold? I'd accept that. Who knows? So overall, I liked the finale. The tease at the end was really cool. Sets the stage nicely for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. The series overall had pacing issues and certain things that were not as important as they probably should have been, or seemed to be at the time. I liked it on a whole, but I don't think it's going to be one of my favorites. Excuse me. All right. That's the short version of my thoughts on WandaVision. Excuse me. My throat's still kind of messed up. Anyway, Falcon Winter Soldier. This was the Marvel Disney Plus show that looked the most interesting to me. I thought it had the best trailer. I thought they had like the most material to work with there, coming out of Avengers Endgame. And so far, so good. I really like what they've done with that. What they've done with this so far. I can't talk today. So the episode begins. Sam's getting dressed. He has Captain America's shield there. He looks uneasy about it. I mean, he takes it with him, but he doesn't look happy. So he is on a mission. So apparently Sam is a government contractor now, so it's unclear if the Avengers are still a thing. But, apparently he's got to pay the bills, because it turns out Avengers don't get paid. There's this group called the LAF that are targeting a military liaison, a Captain Vassant. So Sam has to deal with this. So he drops out of a plane, flies over to another one. It's already been hijacked by these people. One of the LAF guys is George St. Pierre, because he was previously in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. He's playing Bartrock the Leaper, I believe, and we haven't seen him since then. So Sam releases that Red Wing drone. He cuts a hole in the plane. He goes in. He takes these guys out looking all badass. He can't quite get the better of GSP, though. So they kind of... They take the captain, and they jump out of the plane wearing those glider suits, like that dress you up like a flying squirrel and shit. And so what follows is this huge aerial chase sequence that just keeps building and building and building. They're shooting Sam as they're falling out of the sky. They're gliding into a canyon and he chases after them. They're zooming through this thing, dodging over and under stuff. Barely surviving all these rocks falling everywhere. Does it make sense that the glider suits are so maneuverable or that they're basically flying and not gliding? Not really. But it's still an awesome sequence, so you don't really care. Helicopters show up. They start shooting at Sam. He releases the Red Wing drone again. Now it's fighting the helicopters. The LAF board another helicopter. Sam goes to their helicopter. Flight suit takes a bullet, so it's not functioning at full capacity anymore. Bartrock gets away with Vassant again. Sam follows. Bartrock boards a different helicopter. Another helicopter starts firing missiles at Sam. He has to avoid those. He gets them to follow him, uses the missiles to destroy a different helicopter. Finally, the thrusters on the flight suit reroute power. It's back to full capacity. He blasts through the final helicopter, grabs Vassant, blasts out. Bartrock has to eject from the helicopter before the missiles blow that one up too. This was the first 10 minutes of the episode. Crazy sequence. Awesome way to start. This sequence was so much fun. Then they take a bit of a break for a while. We go to Tunisia. Sam is tinkering with the suit, trying to get it all fixed up. His guy on the ground, Officer Thorias, says that the LAF, I don't know what that stands for. It's an acronym for something. I don't know what, though. Says the LAF are taking advantage of all the chaos caused by the blip to exploiting it to make money, basically. Meanwhile, he's kind of looking around with his phone, and he finds a red handprint symbol. And this is the symbol of a group called the Flag Smashers. I don't know if they're in league with the LAF or what. It's just not clear. But this is a group who think that the world was better during the blip. So they're going to be a thing going forward. That was like the red handprint. That was what that girl was wearing, like the girl in the trailer. Yeah. So then Torres asks about Steve. Like, what happened to him? Is he still alive? Is he on the moon? Did you fly him to the moon? Sam doesn't really give an answer. He's kind of evasive about it. So he leaves for Washington, D.C., where Sam gives a speech about Steve at the Smithsonian. He says they need new heroes for the times they're in, and symbols are nothing without the people that give them meaning, and Cap's shield was the greatest symbol of all, but it's more about the man who propped it up, and he's gone now. Again, they don't say he died, they just say he's gone, so who knows? He might still be out there, just enjoying his golden years. So Sam says thank you to Steve, but this belongs to him, not Sam. So he puts it on display in the Smithsonian. Rhodey is there. Nice to see Rhodey again. So they have a talk, and Sam admits that he didn't take up the Captain America mantle because he still feels like the shield is not his. So that's his motivation here. Rhodey mentions that following the blip, a lot of alliances have been torn apart and allies are now enemies, and the world is broken and somebody needs to fix it. And ideally that person would be Sam, but he's not there yet. And then we cut to the Winter Soldier. Not Bucky, but the Winter Soldier. He breaks into some place, kills a bunch of people. Hail Hydra. There's one more dude there trying to escape. He swears he didn't see anything, but Winter Soldier kills him. Then Bucky wakes up. It was a flashback. And he's dreaming about things he did while he was under Hydra's control. And he's been seeing a therapist about it. He tells her he's not having nightmares, but she knows he's lying. She knows he's full of shit. It's a condition of his parole, that the government needs to know that he's not going to flip out, but he insists that he is not having nightmares, so she tries to write him up. So he tries to give her something. Says he crossed a name off his list of amends recently, and because I guess he has a list of people that he wronged when he was the Winter Soldier, and he's trying to make things right with these people. And there are 3 rules that he has to abide by when doing this. Nothing illegal, nobody gets hurt, and say that he's James Bucky Barnes, and he's here to make amends when he does it. Okay, fine. So it's kind of like an AA type of thing. Um, so there's a corrupt senator that he helped get into power when he was the Winter Soldier. And after Hydra disbanded, she stayed in power, kept abusing it. So he took control of her car, got some intel to convict her, and help people capture her. All right. Pretty straightforward stuff. He crosses a name off his list. Everything should be fine, but he still can't sleep. He's still having nightmares. And the therapist says that one day Bucky will have to open up and understand that some people don't want to help. Some people do want to help him and they can be trusted, but he's become very isolated. He's not receptive to this. He's ignoring all the texts from Sam. He doesn't call anybody. He doesn't talk to anybody. Bucky, he says he had a little bit of calm in Wakanda, but other than that, he's just been going from one fight to another for 90 years. And he wants peace, but the therapist thinks that's bullshit. So he says, if he's alone, well, that's going to be the quietest, most personal hell of all. So he's not in a good place, but he doesn't know how to get out of it. And he should be in a better place now, because he's getting pardoned and he has his mind back. He's free, but to do what? He doesn't know. His whole life has been about fighting, and now that he's now he doesn't know what to do with himself anymore. Now that there's nothing to fight. It's interesting character stuff. They really, they overdid it with all the extreme close-ups in this scene, but they've got Bucky in an interesting place. So he goes home. He's got an apartment in the city, and he has lunch with this 90-year-old guy at his building. I thought this might have been one of his buddies from the old days, but no, it's just some guy. And it's kind of fitting that a guy this old is the only person Bucky can relate to now. So they get lunch. This dude, Yuri, basically asks out this cute girl at the counter for Bucky. It's awkward because Bucky doesn't really know how to date anymore. But hey, she's cute, so go for it, dude. Then Yuri sees something that reminds him about how his son was killed while working abroad. Police just said wrong place, wrong time. He thought it was strange, never knew what really happened to him, never got an answer about how he died. And Bucky's troubled by this. We don't know why yet, but we can guess. And Sam goes to see his sister in Louisiana. I guess she runs the family fishing business. And Sam doesn't like how the sister wants to sell the boat. You know, they grew up on that boat and whatnot. It's part of their legacy and whatever. But they're not making enough money with it, so it needs to go. Sam's not going to let that happen. He's going to get the sister an appointment with somebody at the bank who maybe can help. And so we're going to spend some time with that. Bucky has the date with the girl. She seems really nice. They're getting along. They play Battleship of all things, which is both funny and adorable. Don't let that girl get away, Bucky. She says it's nice that Bucky spends time with Yuri, because him losing his son and not knowing what happened to him really messed him up. And then Bucky just quickly leaves. He fucks off. He goes to see Yuri, and Yuri has a picture on the wall. And his son was the man that Bucky killed in the flashback. And the name Nakashima is on Bucky's list of amends. That's Yuri's last name, Yuri Nakashima. So Bucky's only friend has a dead son because of Bucky. No wonder the dude's having nightmares. I really like what they're doing with Bucky here. They're finally kind of exploring what being the Winter Soldier did to him. They never had time to do that in the movies. So we go to Thorias, who is going undercover with the Flag Smashers. He has a camera on him. Everybody puts on their masks, so something's about to happen. Then some guy bursts out of a window several stories up. He's got 2 bags full of something, cash, I guess. And he just jumps down. He jumps down to the ground, lands on his feet. Dude has powers of some kind. Torres tries to apprehend him, but the guy just destroys him like he's nothing. And then we have a scene at the bank. Oh, just scintillating stuff. The guy in charge of the loans recognizes Sam as the Falcon, wonders if the Avengers actually make money. How do they get paid? I actually wondered about this too for a long time. Like, were they on the Stark payroll or something? Apparently not. No, they were just working on goodwill, Sam says. So none of them were getting rich. Except Tony, I guess. So, anyway, alone is going to be problematic since Sam had no income for the last 5 years on account of being blipped out of existence. Loans don't really account for things like people vanishing for several years and then coming back to life. And they try to make this seem unfair, like Sam and the sister are getting a raw deal here, but it's not really about unfairness. It's more about just being a really fucked up situation. So anyway, Sam has government contracts, so he should be good for the loan, but the guy can't help them out. So Sam is determined to get the loan, but the sister thinks it's pointless, and things between them are a little tense since Sam joined the Air Force and didn't see anything their parents had to deal with while he was gone, and then disappeared for 5 years while the sister had to raise her kids alone. And this is kind of the slow point of the episode. Not that it's boring, it just feels like we're taking our eye off the ball here a little bit. I want to see more with Sam dealing with Cap's legacy. And here we are with him trying to get a loan so his sister doesn't have to sell the family boat. It just doesn't seem that important compared to the other stuff. So anyway, Sam's working on the boat later. He can't get it running. He's frustrated. He gets a text from Thorias, who tells him about the guy who kicked his ass. And so the flag smashers are a thing that's going to have to be dealt with pretty soon. Then his sister tells him there's something on TV, and it's a guy making a speech introducing the new Captain America. And some dude shows up in the costume and even has the shield now, which Sam gave up. Who is this new guy? U.S. agent, maybe? I don't know. So Sam's not happy about this. He seems to feel he feels like he lets Steve down, and that's where it ends for now. Really good first episode. This felt like a return to normalcy after the WandaVision experiment. WandaVision tried to do a lot of weird outside-the-box stuff, which was diverting for a while, but wasn't always as effective as it could have been, mainly because there was a lot of filler in there for the first couple episodes. This felt like the typical Marvel formula, and after WandaVision, I was in the mood for something like that. So we had some great action scenes right off the bat. Starts with a bang. The whole sequence with Falcon flying through the canyon, dodging missiles and fighting helicopters and shit was great stuff. Great stuff. I really like Bucky's story of him trying to make amends for all the things he did as Winter Soldier, and this is something the movies never really touched on. Bucky has mountains of PTSD and doesn't know how to socialize anymore. And now that Steve is gone, that's only gotten worse. Now the only friend Bucky seems to have anymore is a guy that lost his son because of Bucky, so he's racked with guilt on top of everything else. That's some good character stuff to work with there. And there is kind of a lull in the second half when they get to Sam's family, and it's not really bad, it just doesn't seem as important yet. You know, Bucky's story is picking up right where he left off in the movies, and Sam is also doing that with the stuff with the shield, but then you've got this thing with his sister and the family business and trying to get a loan and the bank stuff, and it just feels disconnected from everything else. I'm interested in Sam not feeling like he could live up to Cap's legacy. I want to see them explore that more. The stuff with the family business and selling the boat is less compelling to me. Don't really care about that so much. But that's at least that's character stuff. So you assume it's going somewhere. I don't get the same vibe as I did with like the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, where it was mostly just filler that didn't matter, ultimately. So anyway, the pacing is much improved over WandaVision. They keep that shark in the water. There's already multiple threads to follow. You got the flag smashers, maybe having a superpowered operative. Bartrock the Leaper is still out there. Excuse me. There's this new Captain America who might be U.S. agent, might not be, I'm not sure. You got some great cliffhangers there. The plot's already moving a lot faster than it did on WandaVision. I like this a lot. Really, really solid first outing for Falcon and Winter Soldier. And stream health is excellent. Okay, cool. All right. So how are you guys doing? Hope you're feeling better. Marginally, I guess. I mean, surgery didn't fix the problem, at least not yet. But apparently we won't know if it did anything for a couple of months. So it's frustrating. Falcon and Winter Soldier had an amazing episode. Yeah, it was really good. All right. Sorry, just trying to get caught up here. There's a lot of questions about the comments about Superman and Lois. WandaVision. Why do you hate the CW? I don't hate the CW. I just think most of their shows suck. And I think I have ample reason for thinking that way. Did you hear Batwoman is canceled after season 3? Yes. Everyone is telling me about this. I have heard that. I don't know if it's official yet. It's more of a rumor. But the rumor is Batwoman will be canceled after season 3, and then they're going to move Ryan Wilder to another show or have her make guest appearances or whatever. I don't think there's been an official statement, so right now it's just a rumor. But so many people are telling me about this. Yes, I have heard the rumor. Thank you. You know, the algorithm has been trash lately for you. Yeah, no kidding. Hope it can pick up. Select your Batwoman reviews to get more views. Yeah, I'd like that too. Yeah, the algorithm's been tough. So I picked a really bad time to have to take several days off. So my analytics kind of crashed. I was still working on getting them back up to where they were last year. So now I'm going to have to. Now I'm even more behind than I was. So that's unfortunate. We have a super chat. David Freund. Ugh. I'm so bad with names. Thank you for the $4.99. David. Do you think Sam will get the super soldier serum and be a super soldier, or just stay the Falcon with the shield? Well, I don't think the super soldier serum is a thing anymore. I think that's the story. They tried to recreate it and they couldn't. So no, I think he's just gonna be the Falcon. And Sam's never needed super soldier serum to be a hero before. So no, I don't think there's any need for him to take that stuff. I don't think it's available anyway. Looking forward to your new review of the 4-hour version of Justice League. Yeah, the Snyder Cut review. I shot that last night. It was kind of hard. My voice really didn't cooperate. It was worse than it sounds today. It doesn't sound great today, but it was worse last night for some reason. So it took me a while. It's sitting in Adobe Premiere now. I still have to cut it up and edit the whole thing. So I'll be up late tonight. Hopefully I'll have that up tomorrow morning. I'm going to try to have it up tomorrow morning. So look for that on Sunday. It's probably going to be a fairly long one. Not sure how long yet. But yeah, it's going to be one of the longer movie reviews. Okay. Superman and Lois review when? As I said in the community tab, I skipped the Superman and Lois episode this week so I could review the Snyder Cut instead. Because it takes me a while to make these videos, I had to pick and choose. And when I started reviewing Superman and Lois, I said in the community tab that I was going to reserve the right to skip an episode here and there if there was something I wanted to review instead. And next week, I may skip the episode next week so I can review Invincible, possibly. I don't know if Invincible's whole season is dropping, or if they're going to do a couple episodes at a time, like the boys did. But Invincible is starting on Amazon Prime next Friday, I think. So assuming they do the whole season, I'm definitely going to want to review that. Also, there's Dota Dragon's Blood starting on Netflix around the same time, too. So I'm probably going to want to review one or both of those, depending on how much time I have. So, yeah, I'm probably going to skip the next episode of Superman and Lois as well. Because those don't bring in a ton of views. I mean, not as much as the Batwoman reviews do, so unless those things start catching fire, I'd kind of like to diversify and talk about some other shows, see if I can gain more subs that way, because sub growth has kind of tapered off since last year, and I'm trying to raise that. I think talking about some different things, and not just Superman and Lois and Batwoman every week, I think it's going to help with that. So, yeah, assuming Invincible drops their whole season on Friday, that's what I'll be reviewing after I get through the next Batwoman episode. Studio SFX are impressive. The green screen behind you doesn't even look digital. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even take that down yet. So I just left it up after I recorded last night. Which I tend to do that anyway. Because in case I have to reshoot something, which does happen once in a while, I don't want to have to just take the whole thing down and put it back up. So I don't know if I'll have to make a new thumbnail or anything. I actually have two that I made already. I don't know if they're finalized yet, but yeah, I figured I'd just leave it up. I thought Agatha gave him powers, or because Wanda thought he was Pietro, she subconsciously gave him powers like her brother. That's just a theory, though. We don't know for sure. They never explained it. All right. Sam, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm just looking through all these comments here. Sam is not and never will be Cap. That shield should have gone to Bucky. Well, I don't know. There's some flexibility there, because Sam and Bucky have both been Captain America in the comics. So it's not like there's no precedent for this. Now, I do agree with you that it probably would have made more sense story-wise for Bucky to get it, because the movies spent a lot more time focusing on that relationship with Steve and Bucky. And, they explored Bucky's character more. So, by that notion, it just kind of... it just kind of tracked that Bucky should get it. But then Sam got it instead, and they didn't. Sam's cool, but they didn't. The movies didn't focus on him nearly as much, so it felt kind of awkward. And what I'm wondering is, will the series actually go into that? Will they explore that? Because if you think about it, like Bucky's not in a good place mentally, so character-wise, he's not in a place where he could be Captain America. Sam is at least a mentally healthy and stable person. Bucky really isn't. So, even if story-wise it kind of made sense for Bucky to get it, in terms of character, Bucky can't really do it. So, in that sense, it kind of it's more appropriate for Sam to get it. But I would like to see them explore that in the show. Like, these are two of Steve's buddies, and one's his buddy from the old days, and then his new best friend after that, and they both kind of have a claim to the shield, and maybe that's something they're going to argue about. Okay, some stuff about the show Falcon Winter Soldier getting woke. I mean, I understand you getting that impression. I mean, they did stop short of accusing the guy at the bank of racism or whatever. I felt like maybe they were leaning in that direction a little bit. I didn't get the impression that there was a lot of woke stuff going on there, though. They might in the future, who knows, but right now I think they restrained themselves enough that it wasn't egregious. Okay. I'll probably never see the film since I don't plan on ever getting a streaming service like HBO Max. Well, that's actually something I talk about in the review. Like I said, this whole thing with the Snyder Cut, it wasn't really about the movie. It was about the studios giving the fans what they wanted. And I think when studios actually do that, like with the Snyder Cut, like with Sonic the Hedgehog last year, that you need to support it. If they're gonna listen to the fans, you need to show up and pay with your wallet, So if you're not interested in the Snyder Cut, I'm actually saying that you ought to check it out, just to give the studios a little encouragement and show them that giving back to the fans can be a good thing and it can work both ways. And I will save my thoughts on the Snyder Cut on the actual film for the review. But there's a little bit of a tease. I am actually recommending that people watch it, just because it's important, regardless of the quality of the film. It's important that it succeeds, because if the studios see that giving the fans what they want can lead to good things and make them money, maybe they'll start doing more of that. They should have asked Tony for some pocket money while he was still around. They should have just had Tony put them on the Stark payroll. Like, what were any of them doing for money? I mean, at least, like, Clint and Natasha, were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. But Bruce was basically homeless, you know? I guess Rhodey was still in the military there for a while. Cap, what was he doing for money? Where did he live? I don't know. John Walker, yes, U.S. agent. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, I think he was called John Walker in the credits. I have to double check. Okay, a lot of people think these shows are getting woke. I did not get that impression with WandaVision. Didn't really get it with this one either. I mean, aside from the stuff at the bank, I mean, if they start accusing the guy of being a racist, okay, fine, but they didn't. I think, honestly, I think the word woke gets thrown around too much. I mean, it doesn't apply in every context, guys. I mean, some of us are starting to see it where it doesn't exist. Where am I? Posted a bunch of new comments. Talking about Thor and Endgame now or Hulk and Endgame now. Now talking about Fat Thor in Endgame. Not sure how we got there. Okay. Thought Sam's buddy was Amadeus Cho. That's the wrong ethnicity for that. Also, his name was Torres, so probably not. Wasn't the super soldier serum destroyed with Hydra? Well, I don't know if it was destroyed with Hydra. I thought the point is that it couldn't be replicated. That's what made Steve so special. I'm not a fan of the way Zack Snyder treated geeks and gamers during the live stream for his charity on Thursday, so no thanks. What happened with Snyder and geeks and gamers? I didn't hear about that. I think I was working at the time, so I didn't see what happened there. So was he addicted? Was he addicted to them? I don't know. I didn't hear about it. Isn't Sam just a man in a bird suit? Cap was a super soldier. How can Sam make up for the lacking of strength? He's real beatable, if you know what I mean. Well, that's true. But again, he was Cap in the comics, and I think the point is to like create a new dynamic to work with. Like, how does a guy who is not a super soldier carry on the mantle of Captain America? Because, I mean, that gives him a different kind of mountain to climb. Because right out of the gate, he's not going to be the same kind of Captain America that Steve was. He's going to have to do it a different way. And maybe that's something they're going to explore. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Sam didn't feel like he could live up to that legacy. Maybe that's why he gave the shield up. Maybe that's what they'll explore. We don't know yet. Maybe that's another reason why, some people feel like Bucky should have gotten it, because Bucky is also a super soldier. There is no cut in the Snyder Cut. He put everything in slow mode for 4 hours. Yeah, that's something I talk about too in the review. Like, they put, like, every single thing they shot in that movie. There are no cuts anywhere. There's one scene where Alfred teaches Diana how to make tea. Did you really need that in the movie? Would the movie be lacking for everything, for anything, if you cut out Alfred teaching Diana how to make freaking tea? Excuse me. It's like they just wanted to leave nothing on the cutting room floor. Everything went in the movie. And so much of that was stuff they didn't need. So much was stuff they didn't need. And I talk about this as well. It's like there's this weird thing where they have so much stuff that's unnecessary and so much stuff that is necessary because there was very little setup for the movie. So, that's how the whole thing ballooned to 4+ hours. Because one, it's needing to include so much to make the story work, and it's also Snyder not being able to cut anything. So it was a weird mishmash of different elements that led to that thing being 4 hours and 2 minutes. Good God. It did not need to be that way, but how the hell Snyder thought that was ever going to get a theatrical release, I don't know. Weirdly enough, I think that it might have played better. It almost certainly would have played better if they'd released it in like sections as a miniseries. Man, the movie's even divided up into like chapters. So release like one chapter a week or something. I think it would have played a lot better that way. But when you release it in one giant block, not the best way they could have done that, in my opinion. Sharon Carter totally got the shaft in this universe, had an arc built with Steve and S.H.I.E.L.D. that went nowhere. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Sharon Carter, it's like they introduce her, and she's there, and she makes out with Steve in Civil War, and then he just takes off and goes back to the past to be with Peggy. Because Chris Evans' contract was up, so they had to close out his story somehow. But I get that it makes sense for Steve's character, but the whole Steve and Peggy relationship always felt, I'm not going to say flimsy, because that's not the right word, but I don't know why they held on to it as with as tight a grip as they did, because if Steve and Peggy were ever officially a couple, then they were together for like 5 minutes. You know, they kissed once, and I don't know if they were dating off screen or whatever, but they barely had any time together. And then all these years later, Steve is still thinking about it, still can't let it go. And I get that that's a thing sometimes. I still think about, girls I knew in high school. But that he was so hung up on it that he would, forget about Sharon, who, they seem to have a good thing there, and go back to be with Peggy. It just, I don't know. It's not what I would have done in his place. But Chris Evans had a contract. It was up. So what do we do with him? And we have a new super chat. Oi. JOSEMTAPIA711. Thank you for the $5, dude. What's the difference between chapters and the whole cut? If they cut the film into parts, what difference does it make? The difference is that it makes it easier to digest. This seemed to be structured like a miniseries. Because when you watch it as a movie, you kind of expect it to be structured like a movie. But if you're dividing it into chapters, releasing one chapter at a time kind of makes sense. And that way you don't have to sit and watch the whole thing front to back for 4 hours. And, some projects play better that way, some don't. This one, I think, would have played better as a miniseries, released one chapter at a time. That almost certainly would have improved the pacing, because you don't have to watch. You're not trying to watch the whole thing at the same time. You can just watch a half-hour chapter here, half-hour chapter the next week, and it's going to feel like a much more breezy watch that way. For example, WandaVision was released week to week, but I think that thing would have seemed to have been structured in such a way that it would play better when binge watched, because you can get through boom, 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 and you start to see all the dots connecting, and all the filler becomes less of an issue at that point. This one's kind of the opposite direction. They released it all at once. I think it would have made better if they released it one at a time. Endgame and Infinity War wasted Hulk. Yeah, I do agree with that. That's one of my few complaints with Endgame, is that Hulk's story just felt kind of underdeveloped. Like, Hulk gets his ass kicked by Thanos, and then for the rest of Infinity War, it's just banner, and Hulk is afraid to come out, and then they don't really address that. And then in Endgame, he's smart Hulk. He just says, oh yeah, I went into the lab for a while, and I figured it out, and now I'm just smart Hulk. And I thought they were going to build up to, the Green Rage monster coming back and going one-on-one with Thanos and kind of getting revenge on him for that ass kicking, but he really doesn't. So that, and I get it. They had a million balls to, they had a million plates spinning, and they weren't going to be able to tie up absolutely everything. I get that. I mean, that was a complicated film with a lot of moving parts. So Hulk rather kind of got the shaft in there, unfortunately, and that kind of sucked. Uh, 4 hours is a slog to get through unless it has really good pacing. Episodes would have been better. Agreed. And good pacing was something that movie absolutely did not have. Oh, lordy. I have quite a lot to say about that in the review. I'm not sure how we got on the subject of Hulk in Endgame. Sharon and Steve are kind of creepy when you think about it because he's in love with her mother. Well, her aunt. Or her great aunt, I guess. I kind of wondered about that too. Like, is that a conversation Steve and Peggy would have after he came back to be with her? It's like, oh, by the way, I made out with your niece. Yeah. How do you even start that conversation? How do you break the ice? Snyder Cut was more like the first cut. They needed an editor to go through it and trim it down to a more condensed story. Absolutely. I talk about that too. Another thing that was stupid in the Snyder Cut was the rubber scenes. Why do a heist if you want to blow up a bomb? Just set the bomb before you enter the bank and send one man. Yeah, yeah, that didn't really occur to me, but yeah, I guess the point is that they wanted to do an action scene. Uh, but welcome to Zack Snyder. He's the dude is not a master storyteller. He's all about he's more sizzle than steak. Is Zack Snyder, I guess. The point was to do a big action scene for Diana. The point was not for it to make sense. Will you do reviews of Stargirl when it finally shows back up on the CW? Depends on what the schedule is. Depends if there are a lot of other things to talk about at the time. Because I did Stargirl last summer, and the views weren't huge on those. But there wasn't a lot of other stuff happening at the time. So that's why I did the whole season. But now, the big movies are coming back out again, and there's more content to talk about. So we'll see. We'll see. And okay. I always thought they dated off screen. We never saw it in the movie. It might have been a few dinner dates in between missions. I guess it would have had to have been off screen. I'm not sure when it would have been. I mean, they kept talking about that dance that they never got to have. So it kind of felt like they were always trying to get a date, but they could never really make it happen. That's why the whole Cap Peggy thing always just kind of confused me a little bit. Like how close could they possibly have gotten? Because we barely saw them together at all. They were always trying to get a dance. If they could never even get a dance, then did they ever actually go on a date or anything? We didn't see it. They kissed one time. That's all we really saw them doing. But no, I mean, all those years later, Cap is still holding on to that. It's like, I mean, realistically, he did more with Sharon. I mean, he actually like made out with her for a couple seconds, I guess, which is more than he did more than we saw him do with Peggy. I was honestly more invested with him and Sharon. Okay. Dude, the Whedon cut sucked. Stop defending him because he did the Avengers. Did you hear me talk? Did you hear me defending Whedon at all in this live stream? Did you hear me praising the Whedon cut? No, I don't remember ever praising the Whedon cut that much. It was mediocre at best, and there were a lot of problems with it. I've never denied that. People hating Fat Thor. Not sure how we got here. Thoughts on the final 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Well, I think I've been over this. I felt like the show should have ended after season 5. Not on a cliffhanger, of course. You know, they felt like they should have wrapped everything up at that point, but that I felt like that was the organic end point of the series. And you know, I still enjoyed season 6, but the signs were there now that the show had just gone on too long. And I didn't really watch season 7. I watched the final episode. I heard season 7 was good, or that people were enjoying it, but at that point I was like, you kind of missed your sell-by date, dudes. I may go back and watch season 7 at some point, but it's kind of tough because I mean they were doing all these things that show like they were just, how do I say this? Like the show had kind of lost, not lost its integrity or anything, but they were showing all the signs that they just stick around too long. Because when you start killing characters and then immediately bringing them back because you don't want to lose the actor, it's like, well, maybe you should just end things. Yeah, people like Coulson. They like Clark Gregg as Coulson. But if you don't want to lose the actor, if you don't want to lose Clark Gregg, then just don't kill him off. Because then you bring him back as a new character, so Clark Gregg is still around, so it's like Coulson never really died. And then you kill that character, and then you bring him back as a new character, and again, it's like Coulson never really died, so you want to kill him off for the emotional pathos, but you don't want people to actually miss him. And then you make it look like you're going to kill May, and you give her a big emotional send-off, and then you immediately cheapen it when you have Simmons walk in. It's like, she's fine. It's fine. We'll fix her later. Oh, okay, so what were we worried about then? What were we getting emotional for? If her being this close to death is no big deal, you could just fix her later. Okay, well, no need to worry about it then. It's just, they were doing a lot of stuff like that in the last 2 seasons. And, they didn't have Ian DeCastiger for most of season 7. I guess he was busy. And, okay, if some of the actors are getting the itch to kind of do other stuff, and you don't want to kill off other I don't want to lose other actors, but at the same time, you kind of want to kill them off for drama. It's time to end things. The show, I just feel like the show stuck around longer than it should have. I still like it, but I have issues with the show beyond season 5. Do you think Captain Luthor is a time traveler rather than from another world? No, I think he's from another world. I'm not sure there's any evidence of him being a time traveler. It seems like they were very strongly implying that he was from a parallel Earth. And Stephen Korn, thank you for the super chat. Welcome back. Looking forward to the Snyder Cut review. AEW has been excellent the last few weeks. Ever considered doing a Dynamite post-game live stream? Not really. Just because JD from New York already does that, and I could never equal what he does. So I don't feel like there would be much of an audience for me doing that. So I mean, he's much better in that environment than I ever will be. So I feel like if I tried to steal some of his thunder, I would just fail miserably. So if you want an AEW post-game live stream, watch his stuff. Yeah, so the whole live stream environment is not where I'm at my best. Plus, I can't really, I'm not really able to manage my voice and stuff when I do this. So it's not. This is not the format where I thrive, unfortunately. Steve and Sharon were never really given a chance. Peggy barely had anything to do with Steve. I kind of agree with that, honestly. I mean, they made so much of the Steve and Peggy relationship. Agent Carter Season 1 was explored that a lot. Just Peggy missing Steve. It's like they kept going back to that in the movies. We saw flashbacks. Oh, Steve really wanted the date. Wanted that dance with Peggy in Age of Ultron. Because Wanda made him think about that. And then he sees her again when they go to the past in Endgame. And he's still hung up on her. It's like, we barely saw these two together. I see what they're doing, but it wasn't terribly convincing to me. We barely saw that relationship, and everything in the first Avenger suggests that they barely had any time together. The whole thing was, we should go out and have a dance. And then when they're saying goodbye, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it to that dance. And then later on in Age of Ultron, it's like, I want to go back and have that dance. If he's still thinking about a dance, then did they ever actually go on a date? Is that all he can cling to? Is that a dance that he never had with Peggy? Did they ever actually date? Did they really have a relationship, or was it just two people not being able to not having a chance to get on the same page? Now, they might have been attracted to each other. They might have had feelings for each other, but did they ever actually have a relationship before Steve got put on ice? As far as I can tell, they really didn't. They kissed one time. That seems to be as far as they got. Okay, where are we? I was surprised Whedon's version was so bad compared to Snyder's. All right, look, the thing about the Whedon cut is that was like a really difficult situation to be in, because they hired a guy to finish a movie, and then they said, take what Snyder did and make this movie like the Avengers. And then they made a lot of really crazy demands. Take this out, add more jokes, change this, cut the runtime down. Now, if you want to blame Whedon for stuff, that's fine, but that situation wasn't really his fault, because he was... Okay, now, he could be blamed for taking the job in the first place. He shouldn't have done that, because I don't know how he thought that was going to work out. But blaming him for the final cut, I think, is being a little narrow-minded, because really, the people really responsible for how that turned out were the people running the DCEU. They were the heads of the studio who demanded he make all those changes. Because I'm sure Whedon hated the way that movie came out, too. Because, and now, there's stuff coming out about how, the heads of Warner Brothers didn't really like what Snyder did with the Snyder Cut anyway. That's why they wanted all those changes. They didn't like what he did. So you can blame Whedon, or you can blame the people who really made those decisions. AOS, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went off the rails big time. That's why I quit it years ago. I hated what they did with Ward. One thing about Ward. There was a report a while ago that in Season 3 they had to really pivot and change what they were doing because the actor who played the astronaut on the other planet, apparently the actor had a drug problem and it was impossible to work with. And so they had to change things, and that's why suddenly they had Hive. They had Ward killed off and Hive take on Ward's body. That I'm absolutely 100% convinced that was not the original plan. Because everything they had set up with the storyline of the astronaut suggests that he was originally intended to be Hive. I'm absolutely sure about this. If the actor had not had a drug problem and they had kept him around, he would have been revealed to have been Hive the entire time. He would have been the big bad of season 3, not Hive and Ward's body. Had they stuck with that storyline, I think it's possible that Ward could have had a redemption arc. But they didn't. They had to pivot because they couldn't work with the dude. So it ended up being Ward. Now I'm not sure about Ward getting a redemption arc, but I think it might have been on the table. But if you hated that they made Ward a villain, I don't know why. I thought that was one of the best swerves they did in those early seasons. Plus, Ward was so much better as a villain than he was as a hero. Come on. He had so much more charisma as a bad guy. Okay. Ezra Miller is awful as the Flash, worst casting among the whole league. Agreed? Yeah, he's pretty annoying in that movie. Really annoying. I don't know how he got cast. I really don't. And the fact that they're still so dead set on keeping him as the Flash. Why? Why? Ezra Miller needs to learn to run properly. Seriously, what's up with how the dude runs? I know! It's so distracting! Every time he uses his powers, I can't get past it. I keep focusing on it like, what is he doing with his arms? What is this? What is he doing? What is that? Does he not know how to run properly? What is... Ugh. Don't get me started. I'm sorry, I banged the desk here. Moved everything. You know what? I have a lot of editing to do. So, so let's try to wrap this up here. Iris is worse than Felicity ever was in The Flash. Wish she could get killed off. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, at least Felicity was fun for the first 2 seasons before her character started going downhill. Iris is just so useless. And they just keep making her out to be so much more important than she is. Of course, her and Barry have never had any chemistry at all. And they just persist with that relationship year after year. Oh, God, fuck that character. Who is Bucky going to date? Sharon Carter or Sam's sister? Well, why not the girl at the restaurant? She was cute. And now they're talking about the Flash. Not sure if it's CW Flash or Snyderverse Flash. Why do his shoes burst but not the rest of his clothes? Because Zack Snyder doesn't really care about details like that. He wants things to look pretty. He doesn't really care if they don't make sense. They give her powers every season? Zero chemistry between Barry and Iris. Yeah, there's never been any chemistry. Never. You know, I said this when I used to review The Flash on my other channel. Like, Barry has better chemistry with every other female character on that show who appears. And yet they just persist with the Iris relationship when there's nothing there. There's no spark between the actors. Nothing. Savitar should have killed Iris in season 3. Absolutely. Would have solved a lot of problems. I would have respected the writers so much more if they'd gone through with that and stuck to their guns. Instead, they just pull this face-changing technology out of their asses with almost no build-up at all and say, oh, see, we got you, we fooled you. See, we just took the easy way out and we killed Harrison Wells, which doesn't even matter because we could just pull a different Harrison Wells out of the multiverse, so it's like Harrison Wells was never really gone. Oh, such a fucking cop-out. Those cowards. Okay. Barry has better chemistry with Caitlin. Barry has better chemistry with everybody. I mean, with Caitlin, yes, but he has better chemistry with every other girl he's dated. Hell, he has better chemistry with Supergirl when she guested on that show. Should have seen the last episode of The Flash with all the Paragon of Love crap. I wanted to puke Runberry for... Oh, God. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to watch that show anymore. I mean, I only watched it as long as I did because I was reviewing it at the time. After the season 3 finale, I was fucking done. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. I'm sorry. This show sucks. Patty from Flash season 2 was better with Barry. Oh, Patty was great. They were a good couple, Barry and Patty were. Then they just ended it. Why? They were good together. Was the actress not available anymore? Ugh. The scene with Barry saving Iris in the Snyder Cut made no sense. She never showed up again. Exactly. It was a pointless scene. You could have cut it out and not lost a thing. But I guess it was important to show Barry interviewing for a job at a pet store. And him meeting Iris? This is the kind of thing you could cover in a Flash solo movie. These are the kinds of things that should be covered in solo movies so you don't have to waste time covering them in the team-up movie. That's why the movie was 4 hours long. Because they wasted so much time on stuff like that. Well, that's one of the reasons why it was 4 hours long. Not the only reason, as I'll get into in the review. Flash series has gotten so bad, he's a footnote in his own series while Iris takes over as the team leader. Okay, yeah. That's dumb as hell. What qualifications does Iris have for doing that? Isn't she like a journalist? But now she's going to be in charge of a superhero team? But hey, welcome to The Flash. The show sucks. It always sucked. I've been saying that since season 1. Most people didn't believe me then, but they're catching up. The new Charmed show is so terrible, I can't stand it. I don't know, I kind of enjoy the new Charmed show in a so bad it's funny kind of a way. It's not good, but I can kind of laugh at how stupid it is. Plus, I enjoy Alison Pregler's reviews of that show. I guess we can't call her Obscurus Lupa anymore. She's always Lupa to me. That's what I call her in my mind, but her Charmed reviews are hilarious. Killer Frost with super speed makes no sense. They give Killer Frost super speed? What the fuck? Oh, lordy. The Joker scene was pointless since there's no sequel ever. Yeah. Because, like, they spent so much screen time trying to set up future sequels because Snyder just could not cut anything out. But those sequels aren't going to happen. So why not just try to wrap the thing up and put some closure on it as best you could? I don't know. Just fan service, I guess. Just make people want things they're never going to have. Seemed kind of pointless to me. But oh no, we gotta show Batman dropping an F-bomb. Because that's super important, right? Oy. Ezra Miller's a clown. They probably will replace him. I agree with you, but if they didn't replace him after that video came out of him strangling that chick, they're probably not going to do it now. I would love it if they did. The dude's annoying as hell, but I don't think it's going to happen. They hyped up the Joker scene. That was ultimately pointless. Oh yeah, and that whole "we're living in a society" line that didn't even appear in the actual movie. Yeah. It's just there to tease people. It's basically the Iris show now. Oh my god, with that character. They just won't let up. Season 1 was amazing. Ugh. Well, I've said this before. Season 1 of The Flash had moments where it could have gone either way, where it could have become a good show or it could have become what it became. They chose option number 2. It was a brief period where they had a chance to make a good show out of that. They did not take it. By the end of season 1, no, it was bad. It was really bad. I absolutely despised the season 1 finale. That was, ugh. That episode made me want to rage like you would not believe. Iris has nothing special to add to the show. She's like Felicity, except Felicity actually had a purpose for being there. Yeah, that's what it's always been. They keep trying to make the Iris character out to be more than what she really is. She's a journalist. She's Barry's love interest, but no, we got to give her, we got to make her the leader of the team, even though she has no qualifications and whatever. I think they give her powers at some point, right? I don't know. It's like they keep propping this character up. Why? She's not that important, guys. She never was. All they're doing is pissing people off with this shit. But whenever the show's been on for 7 seasons now? They're not going to... They've been doing it all this time. They're not going to stop now. Okay. Oh, Iris has powers now, of course. God. Iris lost her powers. Good. All right. All right, I have so much editing to do, and I also have to do laundry, so let's try to finish this off. Sorry, I wish we could go longer, but I'm trying to get back on schedule here. The season 2 finale of Flash made me shout and swear. Oh yeah, it's season 2. Oh my god. I thought season 1 finale was bad. Season 2 finale was even worse. Because in both situations, it's like Barry is willfully and knowingly putting countless lives in jeopardy because he can't get over his own personal bullshit. It just made me just absolutely despise that character. God, fuck CW Barry Allen. Fuck that character. Josh Kosh, thank you for the $5. In the alley, when the old man is complaining about the trash, do you think that's the same alley from the first Avenger? I hadn't really thought about it. I suppose it could be. I think that might be reaching for callbacks a little bit too much. I thought the whole point of that was just to introduce the Yuri character, so... I don't know. I didn't really consider it beyond that. I guess it could be. I don't know if there's any way to confirm that though. All right. Okay. Barry never learns, so I stopped watching. Yeah. One of the big problems with that show, Barry never learns anything. Keeps making the same mistakes over and over and over, year after year. Are you all on the Alice redemption and Batwoman? No, I'm not. I mean, you've had her be so evil and kill so many people and be happy about it. I don't know. I don't see how you could redeem that character. And apparently the writers didn't either, because it looks like they're going to do it now. But the only way they can do it is by basically pulling a Deus Ex Machina out of their ass and blaming the whole thing on hypnotism. Because now it's like, oh, well, she killed all those people and committed all those crimes, but it wasn't really her fault. It was because she was hypnotized to do it. So we could just forgive her for all that stuff. No, that's fucking cheap as hell. You didn't earn. You're not gonna. They're not gonna earn that redemption. They're just gonna wave it away like magic. That is so fucking cheap and shoddy. It's horrible writing. I don't like it. And I'm not on board with that redemption. Do you think Flashpoint movie will be worse than the CW version of Flashpoint? Well, I don't know. Worse is kind of... I don't know if worse is the right term, because the CW version of Flashpoint was just... wasn't really awful so much as just like completely lame and underwhelming as hell. I think it was like one episode, and things were, as I recall, I think things were fine for Barry in that timeline, and then Wally got injured, so he went back and changed everything. It wasn't because Wally died, but Wally just got injured. I mean, I don't know. It's been so long since I saw it, but that's what I remember. And it was just one episode, and afterward, the consequences were like, well, there weren't really any. It was a one-off that didn't really have any implications beyond that. It's like, I'm not a fan of the Flashpoint story, but that's still a big story, and there's so much you can do with that, and they just completely half-assed that fucking thing. And I don't like the idea of them doing it in a movie, because wouldn't you want to start with a Flash origin movie? It's like, again, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Why would you start with Flashpoint of all things? Wouldn't you want to start at the beginning? We never had a Flash movie that told Flash's origin. Why wouldn't you want to start with that? Barry never learns. The sheer number of lives Barry has ended is just mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep, Barry is the worst superhero. Worst superhero ever. All right. Anything else I need to talk about before we wrap this up? They had Iris restore the dead Speed Force in the last episode? Oh my God. Enough with Iris already. God damn it. Fuck that character. Flash ratings are suffering for it the more they push the West Allen crap. Shocking. Focus on a relationship with no chemistry at all, people stop watching. Kate Kane is worse. Worse than Barry? Oh, well, yeah. Barry is a worse superhero. I would not call Kate a superhero. I'd classify her as something else, but Kate is a more loathsome character. It's kind of apples and oranges. They're both horrible, for different reasons. Iris is the reason why I stopped watching The Flash. All right. I'm gonna probably ask this a lot, but I never really gotten an answer. Have you watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? No, I haven't watched it yet. Now, I actually did a video a while back where I explained why I'm not watching Into the Spider-Verse, why I'm not going to see it. Yeah, for a bunch of reasons. One, I don't really care about Miles Morales, and I don't like the Spider-Verse as a concept. I feel like the Spider-Verse concept is really just a cheap way to generate concepts for action figures and toys. And it's also uh, it's also an annoying way to dilute the whole Spider-Man brand with derivative copies of the same character. And this is a concept we see a lot in comics these days, where instead of making original characters, you kind of just copy and paste one, maybe like alter one little thing about them, and call it a new character. So hence you have the Spider-Verse, which leads to so many different copies of Spider-Man. There's so many people with Spider-Man powers now. You got Peter, you got Miles, you've got Spider-Gwen, there's like three different Spider-Women. There's a Spider-Girl. There's Miguel O'Hara. Miguel O'Hara's cool. I like him. He had a unique identity, so he can stay. But you see this with other characters too. There were like 5 different Wolverines at some point. You had like all like the original 5 X-Men from the past brought into the future, so you had multiple copies of them. There's God knows how many symbiote characters now. The symbiotes used to be cool. Now there's a freaking million of them. Everybody's had a symbiote now. Like now they're just there's so goddamn many. It's like just enough with the fucking symbiotes already. When it was just Venom and Carnage and like 1 or 2 others, the symbiotes were special. They're not special anymore because there's so damn many. And how many Wolverines are there? There's Logan. There's X-23. There's Old Man Logan. There was the one from the Ultimate Universe that got brought into 616 continuity for a while. I don't know if he's still around. Also Dakin, and then there's the annoying little kid. What's her name? Honey Badger, Scout, something like that. I don't know. There's like 5-10 Wolverines, and it's all too damn much. I am completely against this concept. Why? I wish we could go back to just having one version of each character, and if you have to do like a copy, make them different enough that they can stand on their own. Okay, that's why Miguel O'Hara gets a pass. He's not a copy of Peter Parker. He has his own origin, his own identity. His powers are different just enough that he can stand on his own. X-23 kind of has her own thing going. She's a separate thing from Logan. But then it just keeps going and going. And they add more and more characters. And the Spider-Verse just facilitates this. So I don't like the Spider-Verse as a concept. Miles, it's just a boring character to me. He's not Peter. Peter's always going to be better. His books are always going to sell more. And apparently the Miles Morales game didn't sell very well. And Into the Spider-Verse, as I understand it, is still the lowest grossing Spider-Man movie. Now, I heard it was actually a good movie. I just didn't care to see it. And I think we can end on that. Because I still have stuff to do. And I have to do laundry and clean up around here and do this stuff on top of all the editing I have to do tonight, because I have a very lengthy movie review to edit from scratch, because I just shot the whole thing last night and I haven't edited anything yet. That's going to take me all night, and I have to finish that before tomorrow so I can turn my attention to Batwoman. Oh god. Okay, I think we can stop there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for chatting with me for a little while. Thank you for the super chats. David friend, I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Thank you. JOSEMTAPIA711. However you pronounce that, I have no idea, but thank you for the $5. Stephen Korn, thank you. Josh Kosh, thank you. So thank you all our super chats. Thank you for everybody in the chat room for talking with me for a while. I will be back next week to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 2. Hopefully my voice will be a little better by then. It's still kind of fucked up. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again. I will be back next week. In the meantime, you're going to have some new reviews from me. We got the Snyder Cut review coming hopefully tomorrow, and then Batwoman review after that. And following that, I guess we'll see. I may have a review of Invincible, assuming they drop the whole season on Amazon this week. And then we'll have the next live stream on Saturday as usual. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for chatting, and I will talk to you guys pretty soon. Take care.